Okay, so I've got all my parts in to finish up working on the wood chipper here. First things you can see here are the air filter and the spark plug, and these are things that you can pretty much buy at any hardware store or probably even Sears, but I ordered them online just because it was more convenient than having to drive to the store. And then the two harder items to find are the carburetor to tank gasket, which is right there. And I got that on Amazon.com. You can see the shipping is quite a bit more than the actual part. And then also over here is the diaphragm, the part that I suspect is actually really bad. And that came with the spring and the sort of the protective washer. And I want to note that there were other diaphragms on Amazon that actually cost more than the $215 that this one cost, and did not include the spring and the washer. So if you're buying this stuff, do your homework and make sure you get the kit. It's probably not strictly necessary to replace the spring and the washer, but you might as well while you're in there. And if you can get the parts at a reasonable price. So anyway, I'm going to take the gasket there first off and mount that to the carburetor, or mount that to the tank. You can see how I painted the tank and kind of masked off that area. And then I'll reassemble the diaphragm inside the carburetor here, and then try and put everything back on the machine. Okay, so here's the diaphragm, and I've got it oriented so that the dimple is sort of facing down, and it sits in the cover, the outer cover, just like this, with the dimple, centered over the counter bore there, and then those two flaps over the other ports on the cover, and then the spring and the washer just set down in there like that. And then this whole assembly just flips over and mounts on there. And I'm going to put the camera down and do this because I think it's going to take two hands to keep everything lined up properly. Okay, so I'm putting the carburetor and tank back on. And where I'm at now is I've got the carburetor mounted to the tank, just one screw, the one that's down here. And I've got that snugged up just so that this can still move around a bit. And then I've reconnected the rod that connects the throttle to the governor lever on the engine down there. And then what I need to do here is I need to slip. There's a spring that's attached to the mechanism on the bottom of the tank there. I don't know if that's really visible or not. Try and shed a little light down there. That spring needs to come up and slip around that clip that's on the governor lever there. And then, once that's in place, I have another rod that needs to connect to that mounting boss down there on the tank lever. And then I'm going to slide this all up into the engine and mount the bottom carburetor bolt, because that's about the only time you can access it. And then from there we'll see what happens next. Okay, so that's all been installed now. Like I said, I've got the bottom carburetor bolt in place. I don't know if you can see it down there behind the throttle linkage, and then the shaft, the rod that connects the throttle plate to the governor, and then the other rod that connects I guess that's the choke slide down to the lever that's on the tank, and that kind of slips into this plastic piece and clips in. So now the next item up for install is this heat shield and breather tube. So you can see the heat shield's just laying there, and then there's a mounting ear that goes on the carburetor, and then the breather tube kind of slides in and connects on this end of the carburetor with this rubber elbow, and then connects into another rubber elbow on the engine itself, on the breather cover. And then there is a clip that goes over the tube with a hole in it, and a screw mounts through all this, through the carburetor and into the tank, and secures everything. So that's the next step, is to get that all lined up and in place. Okay, so the breather tube and heat shield are all mounted. You can see the breather tube there, and then that connects down into the engine. And then, let's see. Now the next step is to mount the throttle and choke levers on. So I've sort of started to do that already. And you connect the choke lever, the choke rod to the choke lever there, and then there's the two screws, the one directly into the tank and then the one directly into the carburetor. And then there's also a little boss on the throttle lever that slips into a hoop on that rod system there. And then that should do it for that. So I'll tighten those screws up, and then everything should be mechanically functional. Okay, so here's everything assembled now as far as the carburetor and the tank goes. The linkage is mounted and screwed down, and the second carburetor bolt is in and tight, and everything seems to be working. So here's the choke lever, and that's in the choke position. You can see the choke is closed, and you put it in the run position and it opens up. And then there's the throttle position, that's off, and then all the way on. And alright, so now I guess it's time to change the plug real quick and then try and give it a start. But since it's kind of late, I think I'll wait till tomorrow to try it out. Okay, so here's the machine out in the daylight with everything put back together. You can see all the linkages and things are there. And let's see, the choke right now is on, and there it is off. That seems to function. And this sort of throttle and off position lever seems to work. And let's see, so I'll put that in the run, put that in choke. I got the new plug in there too, and so I'm going to give it a pull and see if it'll start up. Now we'll try running a little bit of wood through it and see if it chips it up. Alright, so we've pulled it over here to the wood lot, and I got a little bit of brush here that we can try to chip and make sure everything chips. You want to do the honor, Scott? Give it a start?
Sure. I don't think we need the choke, do we?
Yeah, you might need to, and then turn it off as soon as it starts to run.
Alright, so
No, it's already on.
It's already on?
Yep. Just pull it.
Alright.
There you go. Now take the choke off. There you go.